episode of the Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi podcast. I'm your co-host, Darth Salim.
And I am your main host, the Artificial Dragon, and welcome to episode 52 of a podcast, everybody. I do apologize if I sound a little bit off in this recording. I just recently recovered from a congestion. It just snuck up on me when I got back from vacation in Hawaii right after the last podcast. It was not fun. I had to call in sick for one day at work, and I'm still trying to get that whatever bug is in my system out. So if I sound a little bit off, that's the reason. I'm not dying or anything, I assure you, everybody. But welcome to the 52nd episode of a podcast. As per usual, this month we have Dronicos and Sabe, really lovely posters for all of our Patreons for the holidays. Hope you enjoy them, because oh boy, will they enjoy you. And thank you everybody for all the patrons that have been supporting us for the past couple months. And we are still at 400 subscribers at the time of this recording. Well, actually 401 right now, if I remember off the top of my head. And thank you everybody so much for listening to our podcast. Again, apologies for the delay of a Paleon episode. I'm trying out a new editor.
Technical difficulties.
A lot of technical difficulties, but it's to be expected. But hopefully we'll pull through and continue on in this new direction we have for the podcast. But so if you love our content, we have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/canmail. Once again, that's patreon.com/canmail, where you can contribute to any amount, the lowest being $2 and the highest being $7, where you have instant access to our Discord server, where you could talk about general Star Wars lore, share memes, put in episode recommendations, and just have a nice little good time with us.
Also, in other news, I finally named my blog. So why don't you pop on into Celine's Cantina and send my Star Wars OCs an ask or two.
Celine's Cantina. It's got a really nice ring to it, Hannah.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially with your colorful collection of SWTOR characters that you have going on over there.
Quite literally. There are a lot of colors. But pop over to my blog, give it some love. I'd appreciate it. Send me a few asks or two. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite ones was a couple of replies for if you do any illegal stuff or anything like that.
Well, the two fucking Jedi that I have obviously won't do illegal shit. They're Jedi!
Yeah, they're a bunch of hoity-toity Buddhist monks, so it makes sense.
They're not hoity-toity, it's just they don't do illegal shit!
As far as we know. We do know that Jedi love going down and, getting some of that action. As long as there's no attachments.
Anyway.
But very exciting. Celine has her blog, which is now Celine's Cantina. Go over, drop her a question about any of her characters. Once again, link in the description. Really fun, and it encourages my lovely co-host to exercise her writing creativity, which is always a plus in this line of work. But anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick shout out to all of our Patreons that have contributed to the highest tier. Shout out to Y Wolves, Cameron Lee, Dr. Mboss, Gobez, Tristan H, and Irk the Turtle. Who is one of our most dedicated fans of a podcast so far.
Yes,
thank you so much, Irk the Turtle. Always appreciate your support. And
eventually, to Irk, but thank you to the other patrons.
Yeah, the other patrons, love you all. Hopefully, we're looking forward to what shenanigans we get up to in this upcoming new year. But anyway, with that aside, Hannah, I'm pretty sure you know what today's episode is going to be about.
Oh yes, we are going to be talking about the Kaleesh.
The Kaleesh, who, for anybody that is a casual Star Wars fan, is basically the race that General Grievous is a part of.
Basically.
Yeah.
That is General Grievous's race.
Yeah, and I think it's a long time coming for both me and you, Hannah, because if I remember correctly, there's a named Kaleesh character you've been encountering in your own D&D campaign, correct?
Yes, he is technically the big bad of the campaign.
Yeah,
but we will cover him in the flesh of the episode.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll be talking a good amount about him, and it is not what you're going to expect. Just a little
Probably
heads up.
not. But I'm going to cover what he's been like in this campaign.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, the Kaleesh, excuse you. The Kaleesh are one of those interesting races, and of course, this is a general theme for a lot of things in Star Wars. There's not a lot of information about the Kaleesh. Like, we know a little bit about their culture, what they're like, what their planet is, where they live, but we don't know the deep details of what the Kaleesh are culturally.
I know a little bit about their culture, but not a lot.
Yeah, it's just the surface level stuff, but not any of the deep, juicy shit.
No one's bothered to write enough about it.
Yeah, the only races that it gets a good amount of lore to them are the humans, or the Ewoks.
I dread the Ewok episode.
Oh, that's going to be a long time down the road. It's going to be one of those subjects alongside the Mandalorian that's just going to be down there until we get around to them. But yeah, I think the Kaleesh are a very interesting race. You definitely have a good impression of them based on Zalek from SWTOR, Hannah.
Yes, I totally almost forgot about Zalek.
Yeah.
Zalek is, he is a Kaleesh, but he's absolutely Sith. He is a warrior through and through, but he does honor his father after he dies.
Yeah, he goes on like a murder spree on those miners, didn't he?
In the recruitment for the Alliance, yes.
Yeah, he killed the slave master, if I remember correctly.
No, it was not a slave master. No. He does not kill Harkin.
Okay.
You have the option as the Inquisitor to kill Harkin. I've left him alive.
Of course you did. Because he could be useful for later recruits down the line, no?
No. He never gets mentioned again. But at the end of the Inquisitor story, he does bow to you when you are made a Lord of the Sith.
Yep. Yeah, there's
a nice little Easter egg.
Yeah, there's a lot of good Kaleesh characters that I think are really interesting to talk about. But
in the latest update, he is mentioned one time.
Harkin or Zalek?
Harkin.
Okay, cool.
That's all.
The one good thing about the new developers of SWTOR is just that little mention.
Not really.
The cream of the crop. No, not really.
Anyway.
But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the Kaleesh. And to understand the Kaleesh, let us talk about their home world, which is the planet of, Kalee. I know, very original. A lot of races have the same name, generally the same name as their home planet of Star Wars.
Like Mandalore.
And
the Mandalorians.
Mandalore of the Mandalorians, orbiting the sun of Mandalore, who also has the leader of Mandalore. Or more fucking Mon Calamari, and their home world of Mon Cala, or Duros, with their home world of Duros. I know it's all over the place, but anyway. So yeah, Kalee, it's a planet that is located in the wild space region, which if you recall from the Hondo Ohnaka episode is kind of not quite the Outer Rim, not quite the unknown regions. It's kind of in between there. Like Camino, what was the home world of the Eternal Empire?
Rakata Prime?
No. That's the Infinite Empire, the Eternal Empire. That Valkorion is part of.
Zakul is in
There we go, Zakul. Zakul is in wild space.
No, it's in the unknown regions.
I might be looking at my sources wrong, but Camino and a couple of other important worlds are in the wild space region. It's very remote and in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. But yeah, Kalee is found within the Kalee system, and it is the fourth planet orbiting the sun of Almanac, and possesses its own moon, which has no name as far as I recall. Kalee is 13,850 kilometers across compared to Earth's 12,742 kilometers, so it's a little bit bigger than our own Earth. Has a orbital cycle, not an orbital cycle, it has a 23-hour day and night cycle, so a little bit shorter than Earth, and it has an orbital cycle of 378 days, so a little bit longer than Earth. Kalee is described as a very harsh world, though it does possess more varied climates compared to other worlds, such as possessing many tropical forests, beach, moss-covered canyons, and cliffs, while of course possessing many seas. And it also has a couple of polar ice caps, so it's kind of varied than your typical planet like Naboo or Tatooine, which is just swamp and deserts. But yeah, the official population of Kalee is numbered at around 4 billion, with 99% of it being, well, Kaleesh and 1% being other. Which makes the population of Kalee minuscule compared to Odoran, which is like 20 billion, I believe.
Wow.
But it makes sense because it's a primitive backwater planet, so it's not like they're in the industrial age or something like that.
That's ironic when it comes to the Kaleesh character I want to tell you about.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll get to him in a little bit. But yeah, the Kaleesh are the only intelligent species on the planet. There are many other types of fauna, such as the mumu, which are described as tusked quadrupeds, so basically like bison or bulls, something like that. There's no official picture of a mumu, but I remember seeing an art piece like a while ago where it basically looks like an alien bison.
Sounds like a cow.
Oh yeah, it is. They are renowned for their thick hides, they possess 2 hearts, and have an extraordinary backbone. So, yeah, they have a very rigid spine, from what I've heard. To the point that the Kaleesh would prize the mumu for their meat and inspired many of their own bone mask designs. Like, if you look at some of the cloaks worn by Grievous's bodyguards, they have this little line that goes down their cloaks. That's basically inspired by the mumu tusks. But yeah, there's even a popular sport amongst the Kaleesh called mumu fighting, which involves Kaleesh, I shit you not, it involves Kaleesh matadors. They're the guys that have
I know what matadors are. I'm cultured.
I know, it's just so hilarious. That's something that I need in my life. Just a Kaleesh warrior decked out in a cloak, a
matador outfit.
A matador outfit. He's got his sword. He's got his red cloak. That's something I need in my life right now.
That's fun. That's cool.
Yeah. Another important fauna is the Karabac, which are large predatory animals that live within the Arctic regions of Kalee. And it is common for the Kaleesh to hunt them and use their pelts as cloaks and their skulls as masks.
So that's where they get their masks.
Yeah, they basically, I imagine it's like a rite of passage for them in the same way the Togruta hunt down whatever predator they go. Yeah, the Yagle. And they just take the literal skull of this predator, fashion it, and put it on their own face. But yeah, so the Kaleesh are a reptilian race that have an average height of 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 10 feet. So they're on the very short side. Which is ironic because Grievous is, in his cyborg body anyway, is around 7 feet tall.
Well, yeah, cyber-upping.
And they possessed red, orange, or yellow skin. And they possessed black or brown hair, which is really weird for a reptilian race. You would imagine they wouldn't have hair.
Oh, I'll fill in more on who I want to talk about in a bit. Moving on!
But yeah, normally, okay, so they also have tusks and 4-digit hands. And they also kind of have this you rarely see a Kaleesh without their mask because they're basically like the Mandalorians from the Mandalorian TV show. They rarely take off their masks, but if you look at some of the Kaleesh maskless, they kind of look like bats.
A little bit. Just a bit.
Yeah, they're a little bit like bat people, and as you can see, they have pointy ears, they have tusks, and they actually have pheromones that they can sense through their sensitive nose. And they also have, they have a normal lifespan of 80 years, which is pretty much the normal lifespan of a normal human. And they also have thermal pits underneath their eyes, which allows the Kaleesh to see in the dark. And they even have keen olfactory senses. The average Kaleesh is said to be well muscled, but this is a particularly weird detail. Their organs are said to be flammable.
They're flammable.
Yes.
That's weird.
Which I think is basically a hand-wavy thing of saying how Grievous was able to catch on fire just by being shot 3 times by Kenobi.
Fair enough, I guess.
It's weird, but at the same time, it could be just the gut sack and the oil in it, but it's whatever.
Well, Grievous's guts were all piled in a gut sack.
Yeah,
so.
That is very true. But let me see. They have, as I said, a very bat-like face. But let's go ahead and talk about their culture. The Kaleesh are known as a very spiritual people and have religious figures that the Kaleesh believe to be holy men that can imbue power into the traditional bone masks and even give guidance to warlords. So they don't call them as such, but they basically have shamans who, interpret dreams, give them visions, and just like in many ancient societies today, like you have a soothsayer, all of that sort of stuff. They have a huge reverence towards tradition and spirituality. Grievous himself is a well-known demigod amongst the Kaleesh, would even kneel before such holy men before he went off to try and reunite the war with a Huck before he got shot out of the sky by Dooku. But yeah, the Kaleesh believe those that perform great deeds in life would become gods in death, and therefore burial for them is sacred. It is like the number one most important thing for them to become.
That's why Zalek killed all the miners, because they were desecrating his dad's grave!
To the point of massacring whoever did the deed, so yes.
Yes.
Though, on their homeworld of Kalee, they constructed many temples, which does look very similar to what you see in the Aztec cultures or the Mayan cultures, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. One of the most holiest of these temples would be called Shaparak. The one grand monolith laid within the Genoa Sea was called Abesimi, which is the place that Grievous went to when he tried to appease the gods to bring back Kumar. Mm-hmm. But we obviously, it is such a good episode.
His name was not always Grievous.
No, it was not. Though despite this, they are divided into multiple tribes, which have their own different ideals and traditions. One tribe would be known as the Lick tribe, who are well renowned for their expert swordsmiths, and are the ones that created the Kaleesh Lick sword. And I don't think you recall this in one of our lightsaber episodes, but that's one of the few things that Grievous respects the fuck out of the Jedi for, is their lightsabers. It's not a mass-produced weapon like the ones that his battle droids use. It is handcrafted and unique to the individual who built it. And that's a similar philosophy for the Lick sword. It is handcrafted. It is a product of that wielder and the artistry of a Kaleesh race.
Yeah. They say that the lightsabers are unique, but when you look at the fight scenes, and especially in the prequels, everyone has the same goddamn lightsaber.
Well, when you put it that way, sure, but for all intents and purposes.
I know.
But yeah, let's see, okay. However, what is universal for the Kaleesh as a race is that war is considered an essential and sacred practice, as their culture's large emphasis on honor was known to spur many acts of vengeance amongst the numerous tribes. So there is never a period on peace on Kalee. There is always constant war. Like have you ever seen that meme of that dude who's wearing the Shao Kahn's outfit and he's like, I don't want peace. I want problems always.
I have not.
It's such a funny meme. But that's basically the Kaleesh in a nutshell. And I suppose the Mandalorians as well, if you think about it.
Well, yeah. In a way, yes.
Yeah. But anyway, aside from that, we got the Lick Sword. We also have the Kaleesh's other signature weapon, which is called the Shoni Spear, which if you go into the Discord chat, you'll see the first Kaleesh warrior is holding a Shoni Spear.
Oh, okay.
So the Shoni Spear are harvested from backward swimming Shoni swordfish, which the Kaleesh use as durable spears and for hunting mumu, since the spear is one of the few weapons that could easily pierce the hide of a beast. As such, the spear carried a symbolic meaning, as the Shoni and the mumu symbolize the contest between sea and land. Another weapon commonly used by the Kaleesh, though not originally created by them, is what is called the Zerka Outland Rifle. So it's basically like it's basically a slug thrower. If you don't know what a slug thrower is, it's basically a modern day weapon in Star Wars.
A gun.
Basically a gun. It doesn't shoot any blasters, it shoots projectile weapons. It is described as a bolt-action slug thrower, which is exceptionally sturdy and popular amongst backwater worlds and other planets at the extreme edges of a galaxy, as it was reliable and easy to reassemble for storage and cleaning. The most famous user of the Outland Rifle is Quaiman Jo Shalal, who is what Grievous originally was.
Yes.
And that weapon was actually inherited by his great-grandmother. So, yeah, the Shalal line of being a huge dynasty of badass warriors.
As far as we know.
Yeah. The Kaleesh also practice polygamy. Usually the one where the male courts multiple wives. Yes. Grievous famously having 10 wives.
Yes.
And 30 children.
Yes.
He's getting more pussy than Chaotic Mundi ever did. But anyway, one of the Kaleesh's most recognized aspect is their bone masks, otherwise known as the Kaleesh war masks, as they are frequently carved from the skulls and bones of their homeworld's deadly wildlife, such as the Mumu, Arakesh, and the Karabak, with the mask adorning the Karabak's teeth and their blood smudged above their eyes.
Oh, so that's what those markings are.
Yeah, they literally drench in the blood of their enemies. But yeah, it is even said each mask is unique, to the point that if a Kaleesh warrior sees another warrior of a mask of a similar design, it would not go unpunished, because it could be a copycat. But yeah, Grievous, even in his life as a cyborg, wore a mask very similar to a Kaleesh war mask for the remainder of his life. And even one named character from the sequel trilogy, let me go ahead and put him in the chat real quickly, is this character by the name of Sidon Aferno. He wore a modified crimson-covered Kaleesh war mask, as you could see.
That doesn't even look like a Kaleesh war mask.
It kind of doesn't, but the lore states it's a Kaleesh war mask.
We all know the lore of the sequel is bullshit.
But yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. But yeah, so the Kaleesh, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Kaleesh's history. The Kaleesh became a prominent force in the galaxy during the Great Galactic War, which is the general events of SWTOR, where both the Republic and the Empire recognized them as possible allies to, yeet at each other in the war as proxy enemies.
Yes, we encounter a lot of them.
Yeah, I believe there's like a bunch of mercenary Kaleesh that work for the Republic, and you could probably convert them to Malgus' side at one point.
I think so. I can't remember right now.
Alright, but yeah, there would be many Kaleesh slaves taken in by the Empire, who soon discovered some to have force sensitivity, and Zalek being a prominent example.
Yep.
And there would also be prominent examples amongst the Jedi, as you probably remember. Though, let's go ahead and fast forward to thousands of years later, to 65 years before the Battle of Yavin. The Republic, so this is like 30 years before the Phantom Menace as a general reference. The Republic began having strains with this world called Galata, a planet within wild space and the homeworld of the Bevrian race, which is another reptilian race that doesn't really matter right now. Which the Republic, they were initially members of the Republic, but they wanted to secede. And the Republic secretly tried to get them to join back by, supporting a military leader that was pro-Republic in an attempted coup, but he failed, obviously. And this resulted in the Bevrians retaliating against nearby Republic outposts. The Republic wanting to keep this incident a little bit of a secret, because if the news got out that the Republic sent some military forces to quell this uprising, that would raise a lot of uncomfortable eyebrows from many members of the Senate. So they're kind of looking around like, okay, what ally can we call upon to go and yeet at the Bevrians in this sector? And their eyes landed on the backwater world of Kalee. And they saw the Kaleesh warriors, and they're like, that's the ally we need. So they basically sent a bunch of supervisors to talk to the Kaleesh and basically convince them, hey, see those reptilian assholes over there? They're going to destroy your culture if you don't do anything about it right now. And the Kaleesh were like, ooh, I'm so mad. And they started arming the Kaleesh and basically sent them after the Bevrians.
Didn't we talk about this in the Grievous episode?
No, we did not.
Okay, that was a completely different fight.
Yeah, it's a completely different fight. For the time being, the Kaleesh are backed by the Republic in this case. And in this war, which lasted, I believe, 7 years, the Kaleesh would fight the Bevrians. And the Republic even sent out a couple of Jedi to support the Kaleesh. Including prominent members, Master and Apprentice, Dooku and Qui-Gon.
Nice.
So, yeah, this conflict was the one that Grievous's great-grandmother fought in at one point. So...
God damn! I guess Kaleesh don't have that long of a lifespan.
No, they do not. They live for an average of 80 years, and considering they're at constant war, they probably drop like flies.
Considering his great-grandmother was alive, 30 years before the Clone Wars?
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, and it's also funny to think about that once upon a time, one of Grievous's, I wouldn't say ancestors, but I suppose his relatives fought alongside Dooku and Qui-Gon at one point. But yeah, obviously the Kaleesh came out on top. The Bevrians, their rebellion was quelled, their military order was quelled, and for the rest of their days, the Bevrians would forever hate the Republic and Force sensitives in general. But that's a topic for another day. And fast forward several decades later, the Kaleesh would have a little war of their own, with their more insidious neighbors, which are these insectoid people called the Yamari. And they looked at the Kaleesh and they're like, ooh, slave labor. I'm going to take those. Who the fuck cares if we do something illegal in the space of a republic? Who cares? And we kind of know the story from here. Kwaimen Shalal became a demigod for his people. Rendiro Kumar, they became an unstoppable force. They managed to push the Yamari off of Kalee, blah, blah, blah. And
dies.
Yeah, just watch the Grievous episode for that. But yeah, it's just a huge back and forth. Like the Kaleesh were in poverty, then they were held by the banking clan, and then their legendary demigod just disappeared one day. And in his place is this cyborg warrior that the Kaleesh determined to be the god version of Kwaimen Shalal. And then afterwards, let's talk about the Age of the Empire. Okay. That's for a prominent character, but there's not too much to Kaleesh in the future of Star Wars. They're just kind of there. Nobody's bothering them, but there are several members found within the Empire as stormtroopers. When the Empire abolish his xenophobic tendencies.
Yeah, that probably takes a while.
Oh, yes, it does. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about their prominent characters. Grievous obviously needs no introduction. Watch the Grievous episode if you want to know more about him.
Oh, yes.
But the big one that you're excited for, Hannah, I'm sure, is an individual by the name of Bentaunis Sen Sk'ar.
That is not how you say that.
How do you say it?
Bentaunis Sen Sk'ar.
Sk'ar.
We call him in the campaign that I am doing with Urk the Turtle, General Sk'ar.
General Sk'ar.
This motherfucker is terrifying.
I imagine he would be terrifying, yeah.
He is the Empire specialist on primitive worlds.
Yeah, that's pretty much in line with his character as far as I know.
And as far as Urk says, the protege of Thrawn.
Okay, that detail I'm not sure is canon, but
that's for the campaign.
Yeah.
But this is just from what I have experienced.
So I ascertain that you like him as a villain.
Kind of, but the motherfucker's terrifying.
Oh yes, he is.
Okay, just to tell you a little bit of how unhinged he is. My character got married, and a Night Sister wedding is a bit of a private affair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's mainly up to the witch if she wants to like have a big fancy wedding or something private.
Yeah.
But it is not up to the bride to invite people.
Fair enough.
To the ceremony. It is up to the witch who is officiating the ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Clara, my character, received a gift from Sk'ar, along with a recording disc.
Red wedding?
No.
Anyway, go on.
The stormtrooper that Kalara's friend Yenna had hired for the bachelorette party was summoned by Sk'ar, and he killed him.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent the sword he killed him with to my character. Because she did not invite him to her wedding.
Please tell me it's a lick sword. Please tell me it's a lick sword.
I don't know what it is.
Damn it. That would have been perfect, though.
I can't remember what it is, but yeah. And when she had hung it up, in a separate room, he visited another time and said, "Oh, I don't like that there. Put it in your dining room." He's insane.
He sounds like an absolute badass, though.
He's nuts! And recently, Kalara and a few other Night Sisters went on a mission with a Inquisitor of the Empire.
Yeah.
To deal with the Spider Clan, which is a even more edgier and primitive-ish clan on Dathomir.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an Eric creation, but can't remember.
The Spire Clan, you said?
I think.
No, it's a Legends clan. We talked about it in the Dathomirian episodes.
That was how long ago? Anyway, we were going to kill the Queen Mother of the Spider Clan, but our stupid fucking plan worked, and she just walked away. I'm not going to elaborate now, but since we didn't want the Inquisitor, we were trying to lie, and we didn't want the Inquisitor knowing and having loose lips. We killed him.
Of course.
And Sk'ar said to my character after, the debriefing on the report and everything after the mission, maybe I should make you one of my Inquisitors. It's like, no! I would rather fucking die!
Alright,
before... This motherfucker is nuts.
Yeah, okay. Before I go into his story, did Urg show you what he looked like in Legends?
Yeah, he looks so weird, but his art that he is making for... The art that he's making for him is actually pretty good.
Okay, I'll have to ask Urk about the art later, but yeah, he looks so weird.
He's not done with it. Yeah, he's jacked, and he's terrifying.
Yeah, Sk'ar is as you mentioned before, he is a Kaleesh general within the Galactic Empire, and was remembered as one of the few alien individuals to be part of a normally xenophobic empire alongside the likes of Thrawn. Sk'ar is also notable for being taller than the average Kaleesh, as he is over 9 feet tall.
Yes!
And he was actually a veteran of the Hawk War, being one of the Ashovara, the 8 elite warriors who were Grievous's personal bodyguards.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so he has close ties with Grievous.
Oh, yes. He intends to make us worship him as a god!
Very Kaleesh of him. He was with Grievous when he flew off in the shuttle known as the Martyr, which was sabotaged by Dooku, causing it to crash within the sea and then blow up. But he
survived.
He miraculously survived that explosion that killed the rest of his members.
How the fuck?
He's like, yay, I'm alive!
How the fuck?
And then after Grievous was out of the picture, he unified the Kaleesh people, and he led them to the planet of Oben, which is where a Yamri colony resided, and slaughtered them to the last.
That just makes him all the more terrifying.
Yeah, and then he established that as the very first Kaleesh colony world. But a couple of years later, the Empire rode up and they were like, hey, what's up? We're gonna kill you now. And Sk'ar was all like, fuck you guys. And he put up a mighty resistance against the Empire to the point where they brought in then Captain Thrawn to figure out how to defeat them. And Thrawn, he was, doing his typical thing, gathering art, gathering intelligence on the Kaleesh and their culture. And it was like, that's weird. And Thrawn basically came to the conclusion that the Kaleesh are so up and down, backward, sideways, so primitive, so out there that there is nothing he can do against them. And the only tactic he came up with was just bombarding the fuck out of them.
That's surprising for a tactician of Thrawn.
The very same man,
his caliber.
The very same man who looked at a random art piece and determined it was made by an alien with 4 arms.
Yep.
And he looked at the Kaleesh, he's like, nope, nuke them.
Yep.
And from the smoldering ashes, and a very recurring theme I've noticed, Sk'ar managed to survive the orbital bombardment. Sk'ar.
It makes it easier for me to call him Sk'ar.
Sk'ar. Well, it's spelled S-K''AR,
yeah,
so
So...
Sk'ar. But anyway, semantics aside, Hannah. Apparently surviving his second explosion in his entire life, he contacted the Empire saying, I give up. You've beaten me fair and square. I have no ill will against you. My warriors died with honor, and I surrender myself to you completely. Mm-hmm. And he was taken captive, and he was brought before the Emperor himself. And the Emperor, he looks at his 9-foot-tall Kaleesh warrior. By the way, he's like 2 feet taller than Grievous when he was a cyborg.
Holy fuck.
Like a more fucking... They had a missed opportunity taking Grievous when they could have taken this giant of a Kaleesh as his general for the Separatists. But, whatever. Grievous is a cool character. So. And, yeah, Palpatine probably had a sense of deja vu with Sk'ar. And he's all like, okay. In a similar fashion to what I did to your former superior, I'm going to recruit you as a general for the Imperial Army. You are a general, you have your own army, now go out to the Outer Rim and bring the primitive worlds to my heel. And that's basically what Sk'ar did. He went out,
That's why they came to Dathomir!
Yeah, Dathomir being the middle of buttfuck nowhere with a bunch of Force-using witches, so yeah, it makes sense.
They didn't even do it for that purpose. They were going to start a prison colony there.
Yep, that's pretty accurate. Which is very fitting considering that Dathomir was originally a penal colony to begin with.
Yeah, but Now the planet's just, oh fuck.
But yeah.
There's got some work to do.
But yeah, Sk'ar would be tasked with bringing numerous fringe worlds under the heel of the Empire through numerous methods such as subterfuge and trickery, which is very in line from what I've heard in the campaign that you're playing.
Yes.
And he also puts his own soldiers of lesser ranks in complete control over the worlds he has conquered. So he has value in the soldiers under his command.
This is just fucking... I can't remember the actual name of the race, but they're snake people.
Oh, yeah.
From the Dathomir system.
Okay, yeah.
But there was one... I think their planet was just recently taken over, and Sk'ar put her in charge as Gethzerion's handler. Just to fucking spite us. And it's like, I fucking hate you!
But yeah, Sk'ar is not a coward. He would always lead from the front lines.
Well, no shit.
And he also had his own personal energy shield that made him impervious to even close-range blaster attacks.
Oh, fuck.
I'm
excited for that fight.
Though he was unceremoniously killed when he was fleeing in his ship. And Chewbacca, who decided, you know what, fuck this, he took a solid gun mount and yeeted it at his ship and it just exploded. I know, that's how he dies.
That sucks.
Yeah, if it isn't obvious, Sk'ar, he wasn't exactly meant to be a Kaleesh. He was probably just some random alien that the artist drew, and
they
Lucas
just called it a Kaleesh.
Yeah, and LucasArts was like, well, we have nowhere else to put him. Who's that badass alien from Revenge of the Sith? A Kaleesh. Okay, he's one of those guys. Yeah, it's very flimsy, but I wouldn't mind seeing an updated art piece of Sk'ar.
Ask Urk.
Yes, I will.
But he needs to finish it, so.
I'm after your booty, Urk. I always am. And then the next Kaleesh, we have a Sith Lord. It's not from SWTOR, but he's from a very interesting source. This Kaleesh goes by the name of Sasia Region. He is a former Padawan of a Jedi Master, but he was corrupted by a bunch of crystals that turn him to the dark side, basically.
Okay.
What I find really interesting about him is that he was a Sith Lord... Okay, a Jedi turned Sith Lord that joined the Sith Empire around Naga Sidow's days.
So ancient Sith.
Very, very ancient Sith. And apparently the Kaleesh were still out and about before they were officially found within SWTOR.
Okay, in SWTOR, Thanaton goes on a spiel talking about ancient Sith traditions and mentions Ludo Kresh, Naga Sidow.
Yep.
They count as ancient Sith in the Old Republic.
Yep.
Just making that point.
But yeah, okay, where was I? Okay, and Ragon, he would actually participate during the Great Hyperspace War, where he would be in command of a Civ dreadnought called the Harbinger. And he was tasked by Naga Sidow himself to go out to find these crystals that would be important for a future campaign he had. However, he would bump into his former Jedi Master, who had his own apprentice, and they have this, classic duel on his flagship and everything. He would be gravely injured by his own Jedi Master, but his master would damage the hyperdrive, and it would send his ship, the Harbinger, forward in time at around 5,000 years into the future.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's one of those rare instances where, due to hyperspace shenanigans, they either go forward in time or back in time.
That's weird.
It is very weird. But point is,
don't we cover that in the hyperspace episode?
I don't think I specifically talked about the time traveling implications of hyperspace, but there are like several examples where, oh no, we accidentally went into the future. Oh no.
We went too far.
Oh no. But yeah, point is, they went into the future. Ragon was all like, where the fuck are we? But before he could do anything, his master just murders him because he killed his own apprentice and he killed him for revenge.
Sucks.
Yeah. So brief character, knew you well. You're wherever you are in the Star Wars future. But anyway, and then of course, there's not too many other characters. There's just a couple side characters in SWTOR. I think there's like a merchant captain Kaleesh from the High Republic era, which I think is the first time a Kaleesh has been introduced in canon, aside from Grievous. Mm-hmm. But let's talk a little bit about Grievous's former lover, or quote-unquote former lover, Randiru Kumar, because she's kind of an interesting character.
I would talk more on Zalek, but there's not a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's one of the least built upon companions of the Sith Inquisitor.
He's
your apprentice!
Much like the Kaleesh in general.
That's so stupid.
I know. But yeah, Kumar would be famous as the companion of Kwaiman Zhao Shulal. Though interestingly, her origins are kind of a mystery to many, with some of them even asking if Kumar even existed at all. But because much of what is known about her origins is based on speculation and unverifiable claims. She is said to have come from the ice region of Kalee, where the main predators of Kaleesh's, predators would reside. And she would work largely as a mercenary, or as the Kaleesh called her, a cell sword. So she was basically like the Kaleesh version of a Ronin. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, she would hire out her services to numerous Kaleesh tribal chieftains. And, of course, we know the classic story. 2 demigods meet in the forest after hunting a Mumu. And, of course, we don't know if Kumar was Grievous's lover, sibling, or they're just close friends. It's not confirmed. It's not confirmed. But point is, they were so close, they were an unstoppable pair of demigods that saved the Kaleesh from their hated enemies, the Yamari. And she would be killed by the Yamari, and it would devastate Grievous so severely that he would, marry himself off to 10 wives. Couldn't fill the void in his heart, and he eventually renamed himself to Grievous, for he would remain heartbroken for the rest of his life.
See the Grievous episode?
It's so good. I always love that section. But that is not quite the end of her legend. Interestingly, there have been... So after Sk'ar fucked off and joined the Empire, the Kaleesh people were kind of aimless. They didn't exactly have a common leader that would unite them under a common banner. But out of the woodwork, there would be this female Kaleesh warrior, so high and charismatic that she was able to lead the Kaleesh people into a new age of prosperity. Nobody knew who this Kaleesh warrior was, but many of them say that it was the reincarnated spirit of Kumar herself.
Cool.
And that is basically all I have on the Kaleesh people. I legitimately wish I had more, but
Holy shit, an episode that's under an hour.
Yeah, I did not want to go out on a limb and say this is a more chillax episode, but I surprised myself a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do wish there was more details on the Kaleesh. Like, I've also noticed, how do they lay eggs, or do they just give live birth? That is just one of those things that will always be on my mind.
They're reptilian, so it feels like that they would have eggs, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's just one of those details that a lot of people don't think about, but I think it just adds more depth to the Kaleesh as a people, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. I just wish, like a lot of things in Star Wars, I wish they would put more lore into the Kaleesh. That would be pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I know how I feel.
Now, in comparison to the Diaphem, they are leagues above them, yes. But yes. But yeah, that is our episode of Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi? Or in this case, are you ready to become a god, Hannah?
Maybe.
So, did you enjoy the Kaleesh? Do you have any personal thoughts on it, Hannah?
Not really. The episode was fine, but I just don't really have any thoughts.
Well, I mean, you have been pretty excited about talking about Sk'ar for the longest time.
Well, that's because of the way he's portrayed in this campaign that I'm doing.
Yeah, it would be kind of bonkers if Disney brought back Sk'ar like they did with Ron.
Yeah.
Don't see that happening, but it would be
not,
pretty cool. But anyway,
knowing Dave Filoni, who the fuck knows?
Who the fuck knows indeed, Hannah. But anyway, you want to guess what our final episode of the year is?
You're gonna tell me anyway.
So, we're approaching a very lovely holiday where we open presents and all that stuff. So yeah, the obvious answer would be Live Day, but that would probably be a very short episode in general. But to make it even more interesting, I will be talking about the numerous holidays of Star Wars.
Fitting for the holiday season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because there's a good amount of holidays that it's just a couple of sentences, but I'll pick out the more interesting ones. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Apologies for the delay on the Paleon episode, and hopefully no delays on the Kaleesh episode.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, but I hope you're having a wonderful time. Thank you for supporting this podcast, and Look forward for more Star Wars alternate episodes. We're approaching the last leg, the end game of the Iego arc.
I'm not ready to say goodbye to the world yet.
Well, sometimes you just have to let go.
I know.
Well, anyway, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and until then, may the Force be with you.
This is the way.
This is the way. Bye-bye.
Bye.